Let's go back up and take a look at those custom transition classes we kind of skipped over before. So for our panels, we have a custom transition called Fold that's used to roll up the title and track panels when they're hidden. The Fold and the Scale classes are over here in the transition package. I actually want to delete and recreate these two classes. In fact, we're not going to use any of these transitions, so if you want, you can delete all 4 of these. Right-click, select Delete. We'll accept the defaults and click OK. And don't worry that the following problems were found, we will fix them. Let's say delete anyway. So this is going to be a decent amount of code to write, but if you get stuck at any point, check the links in the teacher's notes for the full classes to download from GitHub. All right, now let's create a new Fold class. So right-click on our package, and I accidentally deleted the whole transitions package, so let's select that, enter new transitions package name. And now if we right-click on that package name, we can create a new Java class called Fold. Let's do the same thing for Scale. Right-click, new Java class, call it Scale, click OK. And now it should make the errors go away in the album detail activity. Looks like we need to re-import just because I deleted the transitions package. And now we're getting errors that these classes are not subclasses of transition. That's all right, we're going to fix that right now. So back here in the Fold class, we want it to extend the transition base class. Well, actually, we want it to extend the visibility class, which itself extends the transition base class. So let's type visibility instead. And real quick, let's do the same thing for Scale. Extends visibility, and now the errors go away. If we take a quick look at the visibility documentation, we see that it extends the transition base class. Now down here in the description, it talks about how it can help track changes to visibility during transitions. Trust me, subclassing this makes things much easier for us than trying to track changes to visibility ourselves. Note that it also says that subclasses should implement one or both of the methods onAppear and onDisappear. Let's go do that. All right, so let's go back to Fold. And here in the class, we can type onAppear, and we want to select the one from autocomplete that has the view over here as the second parameter. So find that one and hit enter, and we get all the rest of the code. Let's delete this line, and then we'll do the same thing for onDisappear. OnDisappear, again, we want the one that has view as the second parameter, and delete that line. In here, we want to create an animator for each method. But let's do that with a helper method that we can use for both. I'm going to add a few lines to make my code move up a little bit. And then here we can create a helper method, public animator. We'll call it create fold animator. And for the parameters, we're going to have a view, and a Boolean called folding. So ultimately what we want is an object animator. We can call it animator. Set it equal to a new object animator .ofInt, just like we were using before. And the first thing that we'll pass in is the view parameter. And then this is going to affect the bottom of the two panels. And then we're going to pass in start and end values. We'll just call these start and end, and we'll set them in a moment. Now this is the animator we want to return. So return animator. And now let's work on those start and end values. Let's make the start the view.getTop. So this gets the top position of the view. And the end equals view.getTop plus view.getMeasuredHeight minus 1. This is a little trick to get us exactly what we want for the start and the end views. So now we're going to use that folding attribute. So if we are folding, then we're going to do a little shuffle. So we're going to use a temp variable, int temp equals start. Start will now equal end, and end will now equal temp. So in other words, when we're folding, we're going to reverse the animation. So now this can be used for either case, when we're folding or when we are. And the last thing we need to do is set the bottom, view.setBottom, to this updated start value. Okay, so that's all we need here. Now we just need to call it. So in onAppear, let's type return create fold animator, pass in a view, and for this one we want to pass in false as the folding parameter. And then copy this, and we'll do the opposite for onDisappear, where we will pass in true for the folding parameter. Okay, let's run this to see how it looks. Okay, and if we try it out, click on an album, and now if we click on it again, okay, that sort of worked. Cool. We still need to fix that scale class. So let's go back there, and we'll switch to the scale class. And once again, we want to override onAppear and onDisappear. So I'm going to start typing onAppear, select the second one that has view as a second parameter, delete that line, do the same thing for onDisappear. Once again, select the second one and delete the line. And just like the fold transition, we're going to create another animator using a helper method. So down here, I'm going to say private animator create scale animator. And again, we're going to pass in a view. And in this time, we're going to pass in a float from scale and a float to scale. So this is going to scale from one value to another. So in this case, we're going to scale both x and y again. And remember, we need to use an animator set to do that. Animator set, we'll name it set, equals a new animator set. Next, we will need to create two new object animators, one for scale x and one for scale y. So first, object animator, let's call this just x, and this time we want to use the object animator of float because we're passing in float values. So we'll pass in the view. Then the second parameter is the property, so we can do view.scaleX for this one. Then we'll pass in from scale and to scale. We want basically the same thing for y, so I'm just going to copy and paste, change x to y, and change scale x to scale y. Now we can play these two animations together. So we do set.play together, and we'll pass in x and y. Finally, we can return this set. Now we just need to create an animator for each method here. So here we want to return create scale animator, pass in the view, and on appear, we're going to go from 0 to 1 and make it appear. And if we copy this and do the reverse for disappear, we want to go from 1 to 0. Let's run this and make sure that our animation looks correct. Okay, and if we try it now, we should see the fab scale out of the way. Good. Now there was a little bit of a hitch. I think I had the wrong ordering of the panels. Let's go back and take a quick look. We'll go back to album detail activity, and that's right here in the sequential ordering. I did title before track, but it really should be track followed by title. Let's run this again to make sure. Okay, loads up, tap on it, and now things clear off the screen in order. Very cool.